My guest today on Rambling Sound is the number one planetone, Mr. Kenny Vance. Kenny, welcome to the show. It's good to have you back. It's been a number of years since we've talked.
That's correct, but I'm happy to be here, and I do get a chance to see you every now and again.
Yeah, we do, but obviously that relationship is going to end for a while, sadly.
It's true. You know, I came to New York on Thursday, and sadly the show was canceled, but I mean, everybody has to be safe, and that's the most important thing.
What will you do in the meantime? What'll keep you busy?
Well, I'm actually been working on a film, as you know. You're in it.
Thank you. I'll tell that story a little bit
I,
later
I,
on.
yeah. So I've been, I'll work on that, and actually working on some songs and thinking about, you know, I always like to record. I love it. I have a great relationship with Johnny Gale, and we go into the studio and make these what I think are these wonderful records of the music that we all love.
He is one talented individual. I also did an interview with him. It's amazing what he's accomplished in his life.
Absolutely, really tremendous.
Are you at all concerned? I know you had some health issues, but I don't think it was the type of an issue that would affect your immune system. It was more of the throat. But are you at all concerned with this virus going around because of what you went through before?
You know, I don't know if you just watch the news and I don't even really know what to think. I just get concerned. Actually, when I went on the plane the other day, I was had the hand wipes and everything. I was wiping down my chair, and it was just normal. People were wearing masks, and that's the world we live in at this point. So I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm concerned. But what can you do? You have to just keep going on.
I do know one thing. There's a brand new CD out by Kenny Vance and the Planetones called "For Your Love" with 13 cuts, and I'll tell you what I really like about it. One, I love your voice. I love the way you do things, but I love the mix of songs that you put on there. I mean, from an old Kitty Lester song, Love Letters, to a Lee Andrews song. You got an acapella song by the Nutmegs. You got the Royal Jesters. How in the world did you come up with that mix?
It takes a couple of years to do a CD for me, and while you're doing it, I'm continually researching it and thinking of things that I want to do. We've written a bunch of songs, as you know, over the years, but for some reason, these are the songs that we wound up with, from the Royal Jesters, of course, and the Nutmegs, as you said, and Kitty Lester.
Cadillacs.
They just all seem to. I'm sorry, what?
The Cadillacs. Did a couple by the Cadillacs, right? Woe Was Me and Betty My Love?
Well, Betty My Love was the. No, that's not the Cadillacs. It's Betty My Love is. I know what you mean. The Cadillacs did a song called Betty My Love, but this was
the Teen
Eddie
Queens?
My Love by the Teen Queens.
Yeah.
And we I didn't want to sing. I didn't want to sing Eddie My Love, so I decided to change it to Betty.
You have my all-time favorite group on there, the Heartbeats. My all-time favorite lead singer, Shep Shepherd with the Daddy's Home. I know that was one of your favorite groups, isn't it?
James Shepherd, it's amazing. He really was the guy that of all of the guys in those days, Lee Andrews and Rudy West and the guy from the Moonglows, Bobby Lester.
Yeah.
All of them, were just such great influences. But for some reason, he stood out the most for me. James Shepherd, just incredible. And I went as a kid. I went to see them. I went to see the first Alan Freed show at the Brooklyn Paramount, and I think it was Chuck Berry and Fats Domino and Jerry Lee Lewis and the Everly Brothers and the the harp tones and the Cadillacs and Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers and James Shepard and the James Shepard and the Heartbeats. And many years later, I didn't know who they were and I didn't know their names, but his records, his lead performances always touched me the most. And many years later, I was working on Saturday Night Live. I was the music director. And this guy comes up. He had an appointment with me because I was also able to get people on the show. So they say, Wally Roker's outside. Now,
Lovely Wally.
I almost fainted, and he comes in. I didn't say anything. And he comes in and he says he was promoting Laura Branigan.
Wow.
He was a promotion man.
Wow.
And he was trying to get her on the show. And while we were talking, the producer came in and she says, there's a meeting. You have to come into the meeting. So I said, do you mind, Mr. Roker, if you wait? So he said, no, it's fine. So I come back about 45 minutes later, and he's sleeping on my couch in the room. And I wake him up. I wake him up, and he's sitting there. And, I said to him, I know who you are. And, he didn't say anything. I said, I saw you when I was a kid at the Brooklyn Paramount Theater. You were the base of the Heartbeats. I mean, come on. And, he accepted the compliment, but he didn't really, he was into it at the time. But that started our friendship, and that was 1980. And I remained friends with him until he passed a few years back.
What a gentleman.
Beautiful, beautiful guy. And as you know, the last bunch of years of his life, they reformed the Heartbeat.
Exactly. Yep.
And I would play on some shows with him. So I always look forward to seeing him and giving him a hug. A beautiful, beautiful guy.
You're my love, you're my angel, you're the girl of my dreams. I'd like to thank you for waiting patiently. Daddy's home, Daddy's home to stay. How I've waited for this moment to be by your side. Your best friend wrote and told me you had teardrops in your eyes. Daddy's home, Daddy's home to stay. It wasn't on a Sunday, it wasn't on a Tuesday afternoon, but I made a promise that you treasure. I made it back home to you. How I've waited for this moment to be by your side. Your best friend wrote and told me you had teardrops in your eyes. Daddy's home, Daddy's home to stay. Daddy's home to stay. I'm not 1,000 miles away.
That was Daddy's Home, Kenny Vance and the Planetones. You know, another song in there that really stands out to me, Kenny, is How You Did Teardrops, the Leandros and the Hearts song. That was just amazing.
Well, what we did was we had, like all these contemporary, rap guys. They sample records. So we just thought, well, maybe it would be interesting to sample the original version of Teardrops by Leandros and the Hearts. So what we picked out a section in their record that we wanted to use, and we had to record our song in the same key and the same tempo. And so basically, when you hear our version of Teardrops, it's we're paying homage to Leandros by including his wonderful recording inside of our recording.
I sit in my room looking out at the rain. My tears are like crystals, they cover my window pane. I'm thinking of our lost romance and how it should have been. Oh, if we only could start over again. I know you'll never forgive me, dear, for running out on you. I was wrong to take a chance with somebody new. I sit in my room looking out at the rain. My tears are like crystals, they cover my window pane. I know you'll never forgive me, dear, for running out on you. Oh, I long to do the things we used to do. I'm lonely and I'm blue, but I'll try to get along without you. I'd have to gain faith, hope, and charity. God only knows the girl who will love me. Oh, if we only could start over.
Another one that really stood out to me was I Love Acapella. I just love it. And you did the Nutmegs, Leroy Griffin song, The Way Love Should Be.
Yeah, love. The Nutmegs to me were one of the greatest groups of all time. If you listen to their body of work, and actually there's a couple of clips on YouTube of them. Leroy Griffin, what a tremendous talent, and what a blend. And they really embody the essence of group harmony for me. And even though they had a couple of hits, Story Untold and Ship of Love, they didn't really ever get the recognition, the national recognition that I think that they deserve.
Right, I agree with that. And then there's a song called "Devoted to You" by the Everly Brothers, and there was another familiar voice on that. And I just couldn't figure out who it was.
Well, it wasn't Don Everly or Phil Everly. It was my son, and we actually discovered that we have a great blend, and I'm always happy to record with him. We recorded "Let It Be Me" on another CD, and this sort of like I think the Everly Brother tradition is something that we can continue.
What is that like, working with your son, being on stage with him at this particular time of your career?
Oh, it's the best. I just love it so much, and we just look at each other, and you don't have to say too much. I mean, I know the guy a long time, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful thrill, and I'm so blessed to be able to do that.
Has he always been musically inclined? Was he that way when he was young?
He was that way when he was young, but then because his mom was a costume designer in the film business, that he gravitated to Los Angeles, and he actually worked on a bunch of films. He produced a couple of films, and then I don't know, about 8 or 10 years ago, he started singing karaoke in Los Angeles, and he really was good at it. He would send me the clips, and then he started a group with a guy that they sang harmony. I think it was like a Everly Brothers tribute group, and then he joined the Safaris.
Right, yeah.
And he became the lead singer of the Safaris, and he would sing "Image of a Girl."
Absolutely.
Yeah, and he would sing that, and he played with them for a while. And then, I basically wasn't performing for 4 or 5 years, and Frenchie wound up with the Tokens. And so when we reformed the group, I just thought, well, let's see, see if he was interested in doing it. And he was, and it's just been great. We've been doing it now for a couple of years, and it's just fantastic to have him.
There are two things that the audience is just taken back by. One is how we really hit those early high notes in Looking for an Echo that you did so well, and also the way he does Cara Mia. Oh, my. I mean, he just really has a wonderful voice. He's really progressed, and I'm sure you've worked with him quite a bit on that.
Well, we don't, Johnny Gale and myself, we really don't say too much to him. We just have to give him a look, and he kind of knows, to rise up to the challenge, and he does.
Let's listen to "Devoted to You," Kenny Vance and his son Lad.
Darling, you can count on me till the sun dries up the sea. Until then, I'll always be devoted to you. I'll be yours through endless time. I'll adore your charm sublime. Guess by now you know that I'm devoted to you. I'll never hurt you, I'll never lie, I'll never be untrue. I'll never give you reason to cry. I'd be unhappy if you were blue. Through the years my love will grow. Like a river it will flow. It can't die because I'm so devoted to you. I'll never hurt you, I'll never lie, I'll never be untrue. I'll never give
great CD. It really is. If people want to purchase that CD, they can get it, on KennyVance.com?
Yeah, I mean, sure. They could go on KennyVance.com and go to the shop page.
You know, a couple of years ago, I was at Doo-Wop Weekend, and you were on the show, and I'm walking down the hallway, and Ladd came up to me and said, "Hey, Glenn," he said, "I got a favor to ask you. My dad wants to know if you'd do an interview for a project that he's working on." I said, "Sure." So they pulled me back down into one of the classrooms where your crew was set up, and we did the interview. And at the end, they asked me, it was about. I can't remember exactly. I don't know whether they asked me how I would define doo-wop, or if it was something about "Come Go With Me" or whatever it was. And I said, well, when I think of doo-wop, I think of the old American Hot Wax movie, one of my favorite movies. In the scene in the movie where the Planetones are in the studio and they're trying to work things out, and the guy comes up and says, "Look, guys, this is what you need. You need 5 doms and a domby doobie." And I said, to me, that's what doo-wop is all about. It's doms and domby doobies. And at that particular time, the whole crew just stopped. And the guy behind the camera looked at me, and your producer, the gal, she was just excited, and I know why now that they were so excited. Can you tell me?
Well, tentatively, the name of the film is Five Doms and a Domby Doobie, and but I'm not so sure as time goes by, and new things are incorporated into the film. It's really a very difficult project. It's a joy to do, but it's not so simple. And especially if you've never done something like it before. We have some tremendous archival footage. It's something that I've been thinking about over 30 years. And I have been collecting interviews that I've done with some incredible people like Arlene Smith, like Earl Carroll, like Raul Sita, Anthony and the Imperials, with Clarence and Sammy Strain and Ernest Wright. And I have a wonderful, wonderful interview with Pookie Hudson.
Oh boy!
And I think those are some of the archival people, and not to forget Eugene Pitt. I have many hours of footage with Eugene, and so we've been going through the footage. We're compiling it now. I have about 40 minutes of a really beautiful film that we will all cherish because it speaks to all the people that love this music, and so I'm hoping that we will end up with a theatrical release, which you need at least 90 minutes, and we keep filming as we go along, and that's the report I can give. Hopefully, within the next year, maybe 2, we'll finally finish it. But we've been working on it for about, like I said, for 30 years, but really strongly, we've been working on it for the last 3 years. It's a film where you want to show how it touched people, and and how people have carried this music inside them, since the moment they heard it.
I can't wait for it. I just don't think I want to wait 2 more years. So hurry up with it, will you?
I will. The next time I see you, I'll try to show you. We'll go somewhere, and I'll try to show you a little bit of what I have so far.
I would love to see it. Now, in Sandy, you lost your whole house. And you lost a lot of the stuff you had. Was some of that stuff would have been in the film, or is it? Did you have other things that you're using?
No, the film luckily was preserved in a storage facility. Those archival pieces of footage were in a storage facility. What was in my house was, just about everything else on my record collection, my guitar collection, everything. Many archival things, photos, Jane the American's photos. And what I did was I was able to salvage some things. I put out a CD a few years back called Lost and Found, which has a collection of a lot of some demos that I did and some songs that I had written for films that didn't necessarily get into the films. And it did so well that we wound up putting out a Lost and Found Volume 2. And that has some really, really terrific. Probably the best version of Looking for an Echo is on that Volume 2. It's a live version of it, but it just really came out it's a great recording of that song. And I have other things on there, songs like Sweet on Me, songs that I had written for films. There was at some point I had been working with Donald Fagen and Walter Becker on some things, and I was the lead singer, and I had found those songs, so I put those songs on the CD. Those things were preserved somehow, and but there was no footage in there for the film that I'm working on. The footage was, as I said, preserved in a storage facility.
Oh, thankfully.
Yeah.
We did not get into your career, but you and I spent an hour a number of years ago talking about your career, which is absolutely amazing. And if people want to listen to that, it is in my newsletter, Do Up Ramblings. It's in there. All you have to do is pull up the newsletter, and it's there each and every week. So, and by the way, all those CDs, your CDs, can be purchased on your website.
Yes, definitely.
All right, my friend. Well, look, I don't know when we'll see each other again. Hopefully, it'll be real soon. Until then, I really appreciate your time today, and I want you to stay safe, okay?
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure, and I do get your newsletter, and I think it's really great, and I admire what you're doing, and the fact that you've got 41 countries now that are involved in this is just fantastic.
I think it's a tribute to our music that it has staying power, and hopefully this music will be around long after we're gone.
Okay, man. All the best.